What shall we talk about?
So there's always a lot of energy and interest at the beginning of the year, but that sort of goes away as the year goes on. Talk about that.
Why do we lose our energy as the year goes by, as the term ends? Anything else you want to talk about?
So many of us are not very clear as to what to do after leaving Brockwood. You see, when we're students here now, we're studying and learning so many things, and then inevitably one has to leave and go out into the world. And having been here, one sort of feels one doesn't want to do what most of the things that are possible for one to do in the world. And so you're stuck there, so to speak. You don't know how to channelize your energy.
Are you saying, sir, that we like to stay on here, but we can't? And we are faced with the world, with all its violence and all the rest of it. And what is one to do? Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Could we talk about intelligence?
Could we talk about intelligence? Intelligence, what is one to do? And what else? What is the other? Energy. Intelligence, what is one to do? And the loss of energy as the term, one has plenty of energy when the term begins, but as the term ends, one rather goes down. So what should we talk about? Shall we begin with intelligence? Shall we?
Yes.
And see if it will help us when we have to face the world. After all, as we were saying here at Brockwood, we are trying to awaken intelligence, not the cunning intelligence of thought, but intelligence that is not born of thought. Right? We talked about considerably about that. Let's go into it again, shall we? Do we see the difference between the cunning, subtle, and rather deceptive intelligence that thought has cultivated? Do we see that first? The cunning intelligence that one has to survive, and one must survive naturally. The cunning intelligence of competition and achieving a certain position, status, and holding on to that, whether it is in the factory, in a profession, or in various forms of careers. There you need certain kind of brutal, driving, self-interested intelligence. Would you? Do we see that? Let's be very clear about it, otherwise we can't find the other. The intelligence of thought that finds security in nationalism, in belief, in various forms of escapes, in religions, dogmas, rituals, careers, and so on. all that is the product of thought with its intelligence, right? Is this clear? Now, is there any other kind of intelligence which is not merely the product of thought, or it has nothing to do with thought altogether? Is there such intelligence? Because if we don't find that kind of intelligence, thought then, with all its cunning intelligence, begins to destroy the world about us and ourselves, in conflict, in violence, in brutality, in all kinds of miserable unhappiness, and so on. Right? Is that somewhat clear? No? Please, let's talk over it together. I don't want to talk by myself. So, would you consider that activity which is self-destructive ultimately, that kind of intelligence, do we see its results? Division in every form, religious, political, career, in divisions in professors, so on, all through our culture, our existence, there is this division, brought about by thought with its cunning desire to be completely secure, both physiologically, biologically, and psychologically, to completely secure in something that thought has created, and thought, and to hold that, to go, to proceed in it, you must have certain kind of intelligence. No? Is this clear? I'm not because we are saying it, but do you see it for yourself? It needs an extraordinary, thoughtful intelligence to go to the moon, right? But when you get to the moon, you stick an American flag or a Russian flag. Is it so? Huh? Right? So absurd. Right? So that intelligence maintains its division, its conflicts, its struggles, both inwardly and outwardly, which is gradually destroying the world. The world in the sense, human beings, their environment, their nature and the air and everything, pollution and all that. Now, if one understands that very clearly, that intelligence is not going to solve our human problems, then we have to ask ourselves if there is a different kind of intelligence, which will not bring about conflict with each other, which is not your intelligence or my intelligence, but it is intelligence. Am I going too far? What do you say to all this? Is there such intelligence? We're going to find out. Don't let's, for the moment, define what is the other intelligence or a different kind of intelligence. Because definition then becomes a cadre, a framework in which we are caught. So we'll first examine the intelligence that thought, in its desire to survive and all the rest of it, has brought about. Do we have an insight into that kind of intelligence which is destructive? Insight. You know what I mean by insight? To see both objectively, outwardly and inwardly, what that intelligence, the thoughtful intelligence, with its cunning and all the rest of it, has done. Do we have an insight? Do you see the truth of it? Having an insight implies seeing without any distortion the truth of and the consequence of this intelligence which thought has brought about. Have an insight into it, look into it and find out the absolute truth of it. You understand? No, you don't see it. All right. Let's go into it a little bit more. When you see a danger of any kind, you move away from that danger, don't you? Why? Because it will destroy you. It will hurt you. It will kill you. So there is the natural instinct of self-preservation, right? Right? Now, do you see the danger of division? Politically, religiously, geographically, nationally. Do you see the danger of it? Actually. Not theoretically, not as an abstraction, but you can see what is happening in the world. There's the Hindu, the Muslim, the communist, the socialist, the Arab, the Jew, the American, the Russian, the division, which is very destructive, right? You see the danger of that, don't you? That seeing the danger is the insight. No? Huh? Do you see it? Do you see the danger of division? Not optically or as an idea, but actual fact, as you see the fact that a bull in a field, the danger of it. Do you?
What do you mean not optically?
Oh, when you say bull, seeing visually.
So you're saying it's not either visual nor
No,
intellectual?
wait, first see it visually. See what it has done. How the world is divided. Nationally, religiously, politically, economically. Each country holding on to itself. The politicians helping to keep this division. That's a tremendous danger, isn't it? Right? Do you see it? Or how do you see it? How do you feel about it? As an idea? Or is it something, an actuality which you have observed and say, how terrible this is? Do you understand? Well, what do you, go on, express yourself a little bit, even though there are people from outside, doesn't matter. Find out. Do you see it actually? Do you see it as actually as you have pain in your leg or in your arm? Is it as actual?
That's hard to say. I mean, I can't say it that way. Or that, when I read it in the newspaper...
No,
and
you
see
don't
on
have to
TV,
read. You don't have to read the newspaper.
well,
Just
but-
look what is happening. Britain says, me, I am first. British goods, British, that's first.
Well,
America says. So there is this constant division, isn't there?
Yes, but I read about that.
You read about it all right. And you see it here too, when you go walk down the streets, when you go into town,
Yeah.
you go up to town, you see it, actually.
And you can hear people arguing about
It's the whole business of it. And is it an actuality to you, or is it an idea, an abstraction from what you have seen? I'm sorry to insist on this, because otherwise we won't be able to go much further. Is it an idea you see, the idea being observing what is taking place, and from that conclude an idea, and then say, I agree with the idea? Or do you see the fact alone, not make a conclusion from the fact? Huh?
I see what
You see it?
yes. That if I, in seeing the division and such, just see that happening and not.
That's an actuality.
Mhm.
Hmm? Come on. So when you see it so clearly, the division is a destructive way of living. You have an insight into it, don't you?
Yes.
That insight is intelligence, which is not the intelligence of thought.
That's the point. I don't see the difference between the intelligence and the intelligence of thought.
If somebody understands this, explain it.
I don't understand what you mean by the intelligence of thought.
You could say that intelligence of thought is more like logically, step-by-step working things out. And intelligence of seeing things that happen around you is more like just seeing it, knowing what's going on, without working it out.
One question is then, what place has thinking in this perception in perception that you're talking about? Because to some degree it seems you have to think about
Of course.
before you perceive
Of
the
course.
nature.
We went through all
Right.
that
So-
dozen times before.
Yes, but I think that we're still confused about it.
What's the problem in this? Even purely objectively, there is national division, isn't there? Right? Like the Hindu and the Muslim, the Jew and Arab and so on. The national linguistic division. Isn't that very harmful to the rest of the world for mankind when there is all this division taking place? Right? Is there?
Yes, I can see this very clearly, and
Now, stop there. When you say I can see this very clearly, what do you mean by that word, see very clearly? See it as an idea. See it because I am talking about it and I've drawn a conclusion from it, and then you see, yes, you agree with the conclusion? When you say I see, let's be very clear about it when we say I see. Perhaps Dr. Baum could explain this a little bit more. take rest. Sorry to pull you in this.
I don't know how to say it.
If you don't want to, it's all right.
What?
Go ahead, if you don't want to.
Well, I can't see it anymore. The question only is, you may see something immediately, and then you form an idea about it and replace what you see by the idea very rapidly. If you see the danger of nationalism immediately, then immediately action takes place. But if you form an idea, then you're merely thinking about it from the past.
You got it?
What do you mean when you say from the past?
Well, if you have an idea, you put it in terms of things you already know. You see, to make an idea about nationalism, you could make a framework of thought, say, about what is a nation. You see, I have an idea about what nations are, and an idea about how they behave and so on. So the whole thing has been recorded, registered in the past, and you can always come back to that idea and say that's what it is. Like if you form an idea of another person, you could say he's that sort of person, and you always think of him that way, instead of actually seeing him.
Look, when you say, I love you, is that the feeling an idea or an actuality? Go on, this you can answer. You do tell somebody, I like you, don't you? Huh? Don't be shy. Now, does the word, the love, the word, is that word an idea or represents an actual fact? Huh? Oh, come on, for goodness sake, you're all so silent. There are too many people, of course, I understand. We'll crash down when we all meet as the students. Right? So, we're asking, do we live in ideas or do we live with actual facts? Facts, say for instance, I do not like, that's a fact. Or I like someone. Or I am hungry, that's a fact. Now, in the same way, is nationalism a fact in your blood? And then see the danger of it, not as an idea, but a poisonous thing that will destroy you. Is that clear? Does this make somewhat clear?
Yes.
Huh? Oh, God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Somebody said, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's proceed from there. Now, do you, when you say yeah, do you feel the truth of it? The actual state, when there is division, there is destruction. Do you feel it in your guts? Do you feel it as something real? That feeling, that insight, that mind that says, yes, it is absolutely true, it has an insight into the whole structure of nationalism, with all its dangers and so on and so on. So in the same way, If you look in wider field, not just nationally, it's a small affair. In the wider field, which thought, through all its devious ways, through thousands of years of cultivation of thought, memory, has, because in itself it's fragmentary, we went into that, thought itself being fragmentary, whatever it creates must be fragmentary. Do you have any insight into that? Saying yes, I see the truth of it, you follow? Not argument, not explanation and pros and cons, but the truth of something like that. So let's go on. As we were saying there, now, intelligence then is to have this extraordinary insight into things immediately. That is the action of intelligence, which is not the intelligence which thought has created.
Can we go into what prevents this other intelligence? I mean, why?
First see this. Then we can discuss, find out how does this happen? Why does thought become so dominant with all its divisions and fragmentation? And it thinks it sees the whole, but being fragment, it can never see the whole. So let's go into it. So we have to go, as we began the other day, talking about registration. Do you remember? Huh? The brain, we said, registers. I'm not an expert on brain, so please, I'm just watching oneself. The brain registers. From the origin of thought begins with registration. We thought, we went into it. No? Yes?
We went into it with the staff. Is that what you're thinking?
What?
We may not have gone into it with the full student group.
With the full group.
I'm not sure.
Or shall we go into it? Because unless we go into this, you won't understand what is that intelligence which is not a thought. I'm sorry. May I go into it a little bit? Would it be too difficult? No. We'll make it. If you think I make it difficult, jump on me, will you? So I'll try and make it very simple. You remember something, don't you? Someone has hurt you or someone has been pleasant to you, right? You remember that, right? Now, how does that take place? Let's be very, very simple. I call you, you call me much better. You call me a fool. I listen to the words, I know the meaning of that word, and it's registered in the brain, right? It's registered, like the tape, like a recorder, it's registered. Then from that registration, thought begins. That I don't like you, because you call me a fool. Or somebody says how nice you are, that's registered, and I'm very friendly to him. Thought begins. So thought begins whenever there is any kind of registration. Obvious, isn't it?
But you're saying, why does it begin when there's registration? It's not entirely clear.
What's up?
Why does it begin whenever there is registration? Why always?
You understand the question? Why does the brain register at all? Isn't that it? If it didn't, what would happen? If you call me a fool, if you insult me, there is no registration of any kind. What would happen? Go on, find out. What would happen?
You're saying that you can't respond to anything with thought.
No,
unless you
listen to
register
my
it
question.
first.
Listen to my question first. If you didn't register at all, what would happen?
Do you mean psychologically? Or
Psychologically as well as the other way. Both. If I didn't register how to drive a car, what would happen?
You'd be a vegetable if you didn't
I would
register.
just be a vegetable. If I didn't register how to speak, language, the structure of language, and so on, if I registered nothing, the brain, if this brain doesn't register anything, I'll just be a God knows what, right? So, registration is a form of protection, is a form of security, right? Right?
Isn't it more a form of
Huh?
functioning? Function.
What?
When you register, that gives you the basis to function.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So, there is registration, necessary registration, which is to earn money, have clothes, shelter, and there is unnecessary registration, which is the whole psychological structure. Is this too difficult? Am I saying this?
Yes, how do you mean it's unnecessary?
Look, to live in this world, I must have certain knowledge, must I? In the modern world, or even the ancient world, or even the most primitive society, closed, tribal society, there must be certain kind of physical registration of physical necessities, mustn't I? Right? Now, why do we register psychological things instead inward things? You call me a fool, why should I register it?
So, isn't that the same as,
Huh?
isn't it the same as, when you're registering that, it's like you register when you see a work of art, you register.
No, I'm asking you, why do you register, remember, hold on to, if I call you a fool? Why should you? It's a waste of energy.
But for me it seems very important.
What? Why?
I'm quite sure.
You find out. Don't say it's to me it's very important. Why should it be important to you?
Maybe because then you take into account what that person has the capability of doing. I mean, like assessing them,
You remember it, don't you? Because it has hurt you. Huh?
Yeah, and they have the capability of doing it again.
Just keep it a simple thing.
Yeah.
You remember it because he has hurt you by calling you a fool. Why should you remember that hurt?
Because
Go, don't immediately on. Find out why you hold on to a hurt.
Every time you're hurt, your security is somehow shattered. You feel a bit lost.
What's that like?
Every time someone hurts you, the security of your brain is in a way a bit shattered. And
That's right. So, hasn't thought created an image first, what you are. That you're not a fool, that you are really quite clever, that you look marvelous, that you are beautiful, that you are this and that, right? So he calls me a fool, and that image is heard.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you, why do you create the image, and why do you keep on holding to that hurt which thought has created, the image? Come on, so you will see it in a minute if you apply your look at it. You tell me something. I'm not clever. That hurts because I have an image about myself, I think, which thought has created, saying I'm awfully clever because I've talked to so many people, I've been all over the world, and this and that. You follow? And you come along and say, don't be an idiot. I'm hurt because I have an image that I am awfully bright and all the rest of the rubbish. Now, why do I keep it? Why does the brain keep this image? Huh?
You want the brain?
Don't answer anything but this question. Answer this. Why does the brain keep this image?
Because it gives you a sense of identity.
Huh?
It gives you a sense of identity of what you are.
Permanence, security.
So, as he said, security and identification with that security. And when you say I'm an idiot, I'm hurt. Because if I had no image, I would never be hurt. Right?
You base your security about
but to have no image is to be completely insecure. Right?
I don't know.
So you want to be hurt.
Huh?
So you want to be hurt.
Not you want to be hurt, you are hurt.
Yeah, but
Then, wait, first see, from childhood, each one of us, by the parents, by the friends, through all the social, etc., education, I have built an image about myself, as you have, right? 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 No, don't, yes or no? Right. That is, this image has been created by thought and is registered in the brain. Right? You come along and say, I'm a damn fool. That image is shaken, is hurt. And that hurt is maintained, is kept psychologically. I'm asking, why should we carry about these images which are not facts? I think I'm a great man, God forbid. I think I'm a great man. Because I haven't met other great men, or if I meet them, I kind of crawl out of their presence, because I may be hurt, I may feel rather stupid, and so I move away from them. And so I live with people who call me great, right? And I'm completely secure in that. So, the creation of, by thought, an image with which, an image that gives to the brain a certain quality of security. Right? That's simple, isn't it? No? We agree? We see that? Not agree, I'm sorry. Do you see that? Let's move from there. So, where are we? So I'm saying, this registration, psychological registration, is unnecessary. That's all I'm saying. If you have no psychological registration, but only the other kind of registration, knowledge and so on, then you'll never be hurt. Is it too much? Huh? No. When you say no, is it to you an idea or a fact?
Fact.
Which means you have no image.
But when you see something,
You see something, therefore no image.
yeah.
No, don't say yeah. Just find out that you have no image about yourself. To see the danger of the image is intelligence. Right? Because even inside, you see what is implied in it.
Why is the image dangerous?
Huh?
Why is the image dangerous?
Why is the image dangerous? Gee willikins. I am a Catholic. I have been brought up in Catholicism from childhood. And I accept all their dogmas, all their beliefs, all their rituals, all the Jesus and all the rest of it. And you are a Catholic. You are a, what?
Protestant.
Atheist, what?
A Jew.
A Jew. If I'm a Catholic, I worship God, Jesus, who was a Jew. So don't, right? Sorry. You don't believe in all the things which I believe. What happened? What is the relationship between us?
Well, it's easy when you give an example like that, but
Wait, carry that same example right through. When the image becomes very important to me, because in that image, all my security is, I have no relationship with another who is not of the same, who has not got the same image, same intent, for all the rest of it. Otherwise, there's a division between us. So, any form of image, political, religious, educational, any form of image which I have, brings about a division, natural division. So we are asking, is it possible not to have an image at all?
What if you say that to the Catholic? He'll say, I'll be completely lost. I'll be insecure.
So, now wait, watch. He's frightened if he has no image. Right? Which means what? Go into it. Don't just stop there. He's frightened of not having an image. So he holds the image. That is his attachment, his security, his whole investment in it. Every psychological thing is invested in that. And to see the danger of it would shatter would destroy my psychological identification with that image, my psychological, etc., etc. It would bring about great uncertainty. I'm frightened. So, when there is fear, I have no insight into the danger of it. You see the point? So I'm just building a wall around myself, preventing you from telling me it's all absurd, all this. You understand? So, any form of image that one has about oneself is bound to bring about division and then conflict. Do you see that as a reality, as a fact? And do you see the danger of it? Then, if you see the danger, that is, seeing the danger is intelligence. Then you finish. There is no image. Then that intelligence is supreme security. I want to know. Because that intelligence is neither yours nor mine, therefore that intelligence is operating all the time without the image operating. I'm getting very hot, aren't you? Do you understand this? Because, as we said, this part of our education is Brockwood. When you leave this place, you are supremely intelligent, not the intelligence of thought. Then that intelligence meets life, the whole problem of life. Sexual occupation, what to do, everything is answered by that intelligence. So our point is it possible to awaken that intelligence while you are here? The moment you leave, the world is too much. There are a lot of wolves waiting. They want you to do this. Society tells you to do this. Your parents tell you something else. You yourself want to do something else. And, this chaos that's going on. So let's go back.
Sir, may I ask a question?
Uh-huh.
Intelligence. You're talking about intelligence somehow as if it is something, you reach it.
What's that?
As if it is something that you reach and then you have it. This is there. It never ceases. But actually, intelligence sees this all the time. Sometimes you have an insight in something, and an hour later, you are as stupid as before.
I see what you mean. Sometimes, or occasionally, you are all that clear, bright intelligence. And on other occasions, you are not. How does this happen? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Very simple. When you see a dangerous animal, do you see it sometimes as being dangerous, other times not? No, watch it. Think about it carefully. When you see a deadly serpent, rattler, or a cobra, or different kinds of poisonous snakes which are deadly, do you see that sometimes that they are dangerous and other times not? You know they are dangerous all the time, unless their fangs are pulled out or something like that. You see the danger night and day. You don't deviate from that danger, right? Which means that you don't really see the danger completely of having an image. Sometimes it's pleasant to have that image, and so you say, but it's very nice, and go on for a while, and suddenly remember that is dangerous, and say, You follow? Which means one doesn't see very clearly the danger of division, danger brought about by images. Images being conclusions, ideals, the communist conclusion, the Catholic conclusion. So, have you, well, you are still young if I may ask, have you got conclusions? Which is another form of image, isn't it? Right? Good. So have you got conclusions? Opinions about politics, about this, about that, everything. Have you? That means you have, your image is your conclusions, your judgments, your opinions. So I have my conclusions, my opinions, and you have yours. So we discuss, we argue, we never meet. Whereas if we had no conclusions, and let's talk it over, find out, then your mind and my mind meets. Right, sir? Now, proceed, go into it further.
It's just that the only thing I think of that when you talk something over or when you think it over, isn't it so that you always come to
What's
something
that?
like
Say it louder, I can't hear.
when you think or talk something over, isn't it so that you always come to a conclusion or a final way of thinking about it?
Now wait a minute. We conclude, you and I have concluded that is a copy. Right? There is no agreement about it. It is so. We can agree, if we both of us agree that it's not copied, it is so.
And that's what.
But if we say it's not copied and agree, we are in a state of illusion. But I refuse, because I like my illusion, I refuse to leave my illusion. However much I argue, however much I may discuss with you, however much you may threaten me, I still stick to my conclusion. That is not copied, because I love my illusion. I think that's the skin of a zebra. You follow? So find out if you have a conclusion to which you're clinging, which is very important, or you're free to look. We said the other day, a real scientist is an observer, observes, right? And if he, from that observation, concludes a certain, then that conclusion becomes important. It may be useful for society, it may be useful, but he has moved away from science, from observation, which may be right, but that's irrelevant for the time being. So, do we have illusions of such kind? Because then you can't think clearly, you can't observe, see clearly. So let's go back. Let's start again and find out why the brain registers at all. The brain, as we said, is like the Nagra tape recorder there. It is registering every word that we have spoken so far. And one sees the importance that certain forms of registration are necessary. Right? Is this clear? how to drive a car, language, capacity to earn a livelihood, right? Those kinds of registration are absolutely necessary. Without knowledge, I can't drive a car. Without the accumulation of words in English, I cannot speak English, or French, or whatever it is. So, certain registration of a certain kind is absolutely necessary to live in this world. Then, why do we have any other form of registration? Why do I say I'm a Hindu? So unnecessary.
So here's where I don't understand that when, apart from the physical things, registering physical things,
What?
apart from registering things which are necessary, we also register, say, when we listen to beautiful music or see and
Do you,
peaceful
wait,
works of art.
follow it carefully. When you listen to music, do you register? This morning, I was listening to Schubert, the trout. Played marvelously, it was extraordinary. And why should it be registered? To remember, say that is Schubert, that is the trout, and so on. Why? If I want to teach you new piano, I say, that's technical knowledge, isn't it? Right? But why should I remember what that music played this morning of Schubert? Why? I want to remember it because it was a very nice, very marvelous state, pleasant, happy, beautifully played, and all the rest of it. It gave me great pleasure. So, memory, I register it because it gives me great pleasure. Right? So what happens when I hear it next time?
Do you remember what it
Follow what happens here when I hear it next time. I don't listen to it afresh. I listen to it remembering that pleasant yesterday, and therefore I'm not actually listening to it at all. I'm remembering the pleasant state, hoping that I'll add more to that pleasant state. This is simple enough. So I'm asking you, why do we register at home except there? You see, find out. If you don't register psychologically, you are nobody. Right? Do you see this? And to be nobody in a society where it says you must be somebody, you must have a degree, you must have this, and you must have a skill, you must do this. The whole of society and culture says you must be somebody. Otherwise you can't live. I don't know if you're following. Right? So society, culture, education, everything tells me I must be somebody. And that's it. I am conditioned to that. I am that condition. I am that. And I'm frightened. You follow? To break that down and say I'm nobody. You break it down when you see the danger of it. When you see the tremendous danger of this psychological registration. And you're unhappy for the rest of your life. Because all the time you are wanting to be somebody. So you're fighting, struggling, competing, war, you follow? The whole movement of the me and my importance identified with a nation, with a group, with all the rest of it begins. Which we say is totally unintelligent. And the question then is, why does the brain register? Because it has not found security. Right? You understand? Huh? It thinks it has found security in psychological registration. It thinks. But actually there is no security. It's just a lot of words, a lot of ideas. There is no substance to it. It thinks it is secure by eating words, by having ideas, conclusions, which are all, there's no substance to it. You understand? It's not like food. So is it possible to live without psychological registration? And because there is no psychological registration, there is intelligence. You see the difference? Oh gosh. Do you see it? Then intelligence becomes supreme. Not I am intelligent. I am supreme. I want, I don't want. I must be, I must not be. I must be a great success. I must be beautiful. I must, etc., etc., etc. In that, there is danger because it's me first and you second. My country first and to help with the rest of the country. You know, the other day on television, 150 million pounds or more, I've forgotten the exact amount, shipbuilding were all building ships in England, British, and they were delighted, right? Because it brings money. And British first. And they're supplying armaments because it gives employment, people unemployed, to Iran, to Arab, different countries. Not realizing what's going to happen in the future when all these countries are tremendously armed. All you are concerned is, first, let's be less unemployment, more money for our industries, etc. Ours. God, don't you see the danger of all this? So, from this arises a much deeper question, which is what is one to do in a world that is chaotic, mad, irrational, you follow everything unintelligent. What is one to do in a world like this? That you are going to face this in 5 years' time or 10 years' time or next year. What are you all going to do? I'm sure you're disturbed by this, aren't you? Huh? Huh? Of course, if you're girls and nice looking, you get married and that's it. And you don't have to face the music. But you face different kind of music, which is your husband or your girlfriend. You're trapped there instead of somewhere else. So, as you are going to face the world, which is really appalling, it's not my conclusion, you see it right in front of you. What are you going to do? Because though I'm only a couple of months here, I feel tremendously responsible for you. I really mean it. It's as though I have children here, my children, and I feel tremendously responsible that you go out with this intelligence so that you can meet this chaotic world intelligently. So, can we educate ourselves here, both this staff and ourselves, you and I, educate ourselves to cultivate this intelligence. Not cultivate, you can't cultivate it. Sorry, I withdraw that word cultivate. To awaken this intelligence. We haven't got it, but we have got the other intelligence, which is the intelligence of thought, the cunning, dividing, fragmentary intelligence of thought. With all its skills, with all its knowledge. If you're caught in that, you will be part of the mess. Right? I'm not being gloomy, but we are just stating facts. Not, of course, not detailed facts, but the facts of division. You see, there is the League of Nations. The very word League of Nations is nonsense. So you follow? So find out from now on how to live without psychological registration. Which means we have to investigate, understand the whole question of pleasure. We've been through this. Pleasure. Because it's one of the factors of registration. Pleasure. To see something beautiful, register. To have some extraordinary sexual sensory sensation, and register it. And if it is pleasurable, the thought pursues it, wants it more. As you are young, you're going to face this problem of sexual pleasure. If you don't understand it and put it in its right place, sex then becomes tremendous. It's like a all-important thing. You understand? Suppose I have a career. That becomes tremendously important. because it gives me great pleasure in expressing myself, in finding out something new. And I'm caught in that pleasure. And the more I go after it, the more there is registration, the more there is the image, the more important all that becomes. See, there's another much more serious question too, which is what is the state of the mind, brain, when there is only the registration of knowledge in there. You understand what I mean? And no other registration. What is the state of that mind, that brain? Are you interested in this? It must be a theory to you, obviously. No? If you don't register, you being called a fool, what is your state of mind? No, watch it. Don't look at it first. Somebody calls you fool and don't register. What is happening in the brain? Or if don't register, somebody calls you, what a marvelous person you are. Both the same, right? What happens to the quality of your brain? This may be too difficult.
Nothing?
Huh?
Nothing?
Nothing? How do you know?
Oh, you said it's theories, I'm just theorizing.
Don't play.
If you're asking us.
I asked, I was careful, I asked, first I said, right? Don't cheat me. First I made it very clear. Somebody says you're a fool, somebody says you're a marvelous person. Don't register. If there is no registration of both, what? You are aware of the word, of the words, the meaning of the words, what is implied in those words, but no registration.
You don't react.
What?
You just don't react. There's no reaction.
Oh, no reaction, and then what? Either you are a vegetable, therefore no reaction.
Well, you just don't feed those words that came towards you by reacting, like either closing up or saying something back. That doesn't mean
We said,
you don't react,
Madam,
it doesn't mean you're
we
offended.
said that of course there is no registration. When you don't register, there is no response. But what is the nature of the brain or the mind that doesn't respond? So this is what we're going to talk about when we students and I meet, about meditation. This is part of that meditation. To see the for the mind, for thought to become aware of itself. Do you know what I'm talking about? Can thought become conscious of itself? Which is, you can observe or become aware the arising of jealousy, the arising of anger, the arising of greed. You can see it coming up, right? So in the same way, is there an awareness, a consciousness, or knowing, thought arising?
You're not saying a consciousness of the content of that thought, but you're not saying a consciousness of the content of that
No,
thought,
no,
but
no.
of the thought, of
Of
the
thought.
process.
Thought has made consciousness with all its content. I'm a Christian, I'm a etc., etc. Or the content is my fear, my pleasure, my identity, my fears, sorrows, hurt, all that, which is put together by thought. I'm asking, can that thought become aware of itself, not I become aware of thought?
I don't understand that. You've said that before. What do you mean, not I be aware of thought, but thought being aware of
Then,
itself?
when I say I become aware of thought, then there is duality. I separate from thought. But thought has put together the me. So the me thinks it's separate from thought. So it's a false relationship altogether. So thought, the me is the thought. Right? The observer is the observed and so on. We won't go. So, can that thought, please do listen to this. It's fun to find out. Can that thought know itself as a movement?
In that observation, is there recognition or no recognition?
No recognition. It's just like jealousy arising. You don't say, I'm jealous. That comes later. But you can see jealousy coming because I see your shirt, beautiful, I want it, I'm greedy. Follow? Again, begin the awakening of jealousy can be seen very easily. Or jealousy can become aware of itself as it arises. Now, in the same way I'm asking, can thought, you follow?
Involuntary.
What?
Involuntary.
No, not involuntary, voluntary.
Involuntary awareness. I mean,
No,
you hear
no,
a
no.
thought, you hear it.
You've seen those on the cinema, on the television or on the cinema, the flowering of a daffodil, slow movement, and you see it come out. In the same way, this is part of meditation. Watching the thought moving by Have you got something this morning? Not got some. Have you understood something from all this talk? Which is not verbal understanding, but insight from which you are going to act, do. Not just say, yes, I've understood, and sit back and do nothing about it. I think we better stop, don't you? It's lunchtime, 10 to 1. Right? May I get it? Right?